This meeting is being recorded.
Got it.
Right. Good morning. I'm Nils. I run a small school in Seattle where I teach classes related to longevity and some other subjects. I also have a website called Pathways to Longevity, and I moderate a Facebook group called Anti-Aging and Life Extension. I'm talking today with Alan Graves, who is the CEO of a company called DoNotAge, which makes anti-aging supplements. A little background is that people in the Facebook group often have questions about supplements and have said that they would like to have the opportunity to take them directly to the companies selling them. So I asked if they would email me any questions that they had for you, Alan. And the questions fell into a few categories, which are questions about testing, questions about shipping and packaging, when you recommend taking the different supplements, and then specific questions related to the products that you sell. So if you're ready, I'll just jump in. Okay. So Cool. So the first question that came in is, and which we actually got from 4 or 5 people, was what steps does DoNotAge take to verify that their products are pure?
Test. So the products are tested at each stage at source on arrival to the UK, again, once manufactured and completed. I think the important thing for people to remember is that we're a health research organization. So very different from a traditional supplement manufacturer they might be used to. So our mission is to extend healthy lifespan for as many people as possible. So in order to do that, if the products aren't pure, then they're not going to have the right health outcomes. So it's in our interest to make sure that everything's pure.
So when you say, just to branch off a little bit, when you say that you're a health research organization, can you talk about that a little bit more? Like how?
Sure. So
how do you see that, and how does that make you approach supplementation a little differently?
Yeah. So essentially, we see ourselves as sitting in the middle of consumers that were trying to find out what products they should take and have a reliable place of where to get them, and researchers who are always looking for more funding, particularly the ones that are working on health and longevity in the aging space. So obviously, most people will probably know that Professor Vera Gorbanova is our lead researcher. She sits on our board. We do the vast majority of our work with Professor Gorbanova at her Aging Research Center in New York State. But we also do work with other laboratories as well. So we'll fund their research. In fact, we've just done another $10,000 towards another trial just today, actually. It was about an hour before I had this call with you. So yeah, so we're always helping. What we're trying to do is end aging through research, because ultimately without science, it's not gonna get any further. And in the meantime, we use the current science and the current testing that we have available to recommend and create consumer products to DoNotAge.org members.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what you were just talking about, the trial that you were talking about funding today?
I can't at the moment, but I will be able to in about a week's time. So I'm sure we'll do another one of these. But yeah, I mean, hopefully people will find out anyway. If they're on our email list, they will find out.
Just to clarify, so the reason I asked is because that's kind of a window again into how you approach the whole process. So I realized that now that I asked that and got your answer, I realized you might not be able to talk about that specific one. Okay. But how does that work in general? Do you approach researchers? Do they approach you?
We have in the past, but obviously now we're at a stage where we're getting approached, but mostly by them. And whether it's a direct approach from a particular researcher, or whether it's a laboratory coming to us out of the blue and saying, right, sometimes, obviously, in the vast majority of the time, they want funding. Sometimes they'll just want however many kilos of CAKG, for example, because they're trying to prove and test something, prove a theory, and they want to make sure that the product they get is of the best purity so that the results aren't skewed. So they come to us and we send that. As long as we can confirm that obviously it's a genuine order, then we send out the goods.
Interesting. I mean, that's actually very helpful to know, because one of the other questions that is not on the list, but I just remembered people have asked me sometimes, is whether DoNotAge has your own testing facility, or whether it's more that just what you described, which is that you're more involved with providing product to and funding research by people who do.
Yeah, that's right. So we tend to do the vast majority of our research at Professor Gorbanova's laboratory, but we don't actually have our own laboratory to do research. So it's all outsourced, rented, things like that.
Right. And her laboratory is the one that I think is is very directly involved in the testing of the products that may or may not end up being used for Cert6 activator.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So all of the testing, every single batch of Cert6 activator goes through an extra test, which is obviously to ensure that it activates the 2 and 6. That's the reason it's such a popular product.
Right.
It's all done at Professor Gorbanova's laboratory. So it's tested via biochemical assay that's measuring ribosylation activity. Again, anyone on our email list would have read about this about a week ago. And yeah, we're using Cert6 activator in human trials now. So we believe that the DNA repair function and overall health rejuvenation of Cert6 activator is so great that we have just started a human trial in patients that have actually gone through chemotherapy. So really excited about that one.
Can you tell us any more about that?
It all came from a trial that's currently ongoing regarding frailty index scores, and the frailty index scores in the group that were taking Cert6 activator didn't, stayed the same. Whereas obviously the group that weren't taking Cert6 activator got a lot worse over a matter of months. Because the results were so powerful, it was actually Vera's idea. Professor Gorbanova never gets excited about anything. She's a true and true scientist. And she just, we were on the phone together, and she was almost yelping in excitement, saying, we got to move this into further stage trials. And her suggestion was people that have been through chemotherapy, because we believe it will stop the recurrence of tumors. So, again, if that proves to be the case, then it's a pretty big deal. So we're very excited about it.
Well, that is fascinating. All right, so let's see. I'm going to move on to, and so the way I think that we'll roll with this, Ellen, if this works with you, is I'll go to my list of questions, but then as you say things that are interesting, we'll kind of veer off into maybe some other questions, some other territory, because I have a feeling that that's what people are very curious to hear about. One thing I think is, I think that from the viewpoint of a consumer, it is really helpful to know the sort of information that you were just talking about, which is specifically what goes on in the company. Because so many companies, they may or may not be good supplement companies. They may be very good, but a lot of them, they see their job more as simply finding a source for a product, which might be a popular product. Maybe some studies with animals have suggested it might have anti-aging benefits, and then they find a way to market it. And they're sort of the middleman or middle person in between the researchers and selling the product to the public, but they're not necessarily involved in developing products. They're not, and so what I'm hearing is that even the whole philosophy of how you're approaching things that DoNotAge is a bit more proactive and, in a sense, hands-on. I mean, hands-on in the sense of like Vera's lab being very directly involved.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, the reason that we have the consumer-facing side of DoNotAge.org, the actual website where people can go ahead and purchase our ingredients, is because we couldn't trust the traditional supplement manufacturers with our ingredients. They don't have tight enough protocols and high enough standards for us to trust them with our ingredients. A lot of them use fillers. ultimately they're a traditional business which is profit focused. Now, obviously, we still need to be able to run our organization, otherwise we'll run ourselves into the ground. But it's not all about it's about health above profit. And I think what we're also trying to do is be a sort of beacon of light and try and be an example of what future supplement companies should look like as well. So yeah, we're still waiting for another one, but hopefully one day we'll have some competition.
Yeah, I would love it if other companies started doing things like you're doing with Cert6 activator, in the sense, I mean, that was the thing that, honestly, without sounding like I'm shining you on or something like that, but it was the thing that really kind of interested me at first about DoNotAge, that kind of gave me a different angle on what you're doing, I guess, is that you actually were not only testing to see whether the product was pure and whether the capsules contained the ingredients they're supposed to contain, but in the case of that product anyway, actually testing to see whether it really was activating sirtuin-6. And
Yeah, and I think we're in the age of information now. So I think these traditional companies, the ones that you mentioned, they will die out eventually. And in the future, every company will have to be more transparent and have their consumers' best interests at heart rather than their own bottom line.
So let me go back to our list of questions here. So next question, and again, I'm just reading from ones that were emailed in from people in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, this actually leads from what we were just talking about. Can you ask Alan how they're testing to see if Cert6 activator is activating the sirtuin-6 gene? Is it an in vitro test, or are they testing it in animals or people?
Yeah, so as I say, we are doing clinical trials in people, but that's not to see if it activates Cert6. We already know that by the time it becomes a consumer product. It is a biochemical assay, and the full name is, bear with me, the full name is, it's measuring mono ADP ribosylation activity. And Professor Gorbanova can talk on it a lot better than I can, but ultimately that's the activity that we know is important when it comes to Cert6 activation.
I would love to interview her sometime, if you'd ever like to put me in touch with her.
Yeah, she's got about a six-month waiting list, but there's no reason why not. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I've seen her other interviews, but it would be really fun to talk with her. But anyway, something for the future. Okay, so next question. You kind of already answered. Do you do your own testing or send the product to an outside company? So it sounds like it's a bit of both. Like in the case of Vera's lab, that's for. No, does her lab test any other specific products, or is it only Cert6 activator of the ones that you sell?
Yeah, so we do use it quite a lot, but it's more tends to be when we're in the process of creating a new product line or ingredient. At the moment, we're looking at collagen. And so it's just easy for us to be able to send stuff there and do it for certain tests that we need to get done. We can get them done a lot faster. And we know that Professor Gorbanova's team are going to do it very professionally. So,
what are your considerations, Ellen, when developing a collagen product?
Well, there's a lot of things, really. I mean, the amount of different types of collagen you can get is incredible. There's type 1, type 2, type 3. There's hydrolyzed and non-hydrolyzed. There's bovine, there's marine. So there's a million different questions with collagen. And so it's just, for us, it's about trying to find the one that's going to have the optimal health outcome. And then obviously trying to make that the most reasonable price we can. The good news is that high quality collagen isn't as higher cost as the supplements that people that are serious about anti-aging will be used to. So the actual price point of each pot is going to be lower than what people are used to.
So the product that you're selling, it'll be in the form of capsules, collagen capsules?
No, so it is going to be powder. So again, that's something that that is something that we looked at. But the hydrolyzed collagen peptides are actually better when they're mixed in with a drink or something like that.
Okay, I was actually hoping that you would say that, because In relation to talking a little bit more about collagen, from your perspective, why did you become interested in it? How does it relate to anti-aging?
Well, so we've actually had this question because obviously of our high molecular weight hyaluronic acid we've had for a long time. Professor Gorbanova's behind that one. Um, it pairs very well with collagen, particularly for skin health. I mean, there's joint health and a few other bits as well, but particularly for skin health, a lot of people they come to us, they say, look, I'm feeling great. Your products are working really well, but I want to get rid of these lines. I want to get rid of these wrinkles. I want my skin to hold more moisture or whatever it might be, look plumper. And we always said no to collagen because we've not really seen a massive life extension with collagen. But the increase in health span that it gives you is worth it. So eventually we came around to the fact that there are multiple peer-reviewed studies proving that this does work in humans. And again, like I say, we're going through our testing phases at the moment. So watch this space.
So when you mentioned an increase in health span with collagen, what were you referring to?
So a reduction in morbidity, I suppose.
Okay.
Doesn't just keep people looking healthier, but it keeps them moving healthier as well. So if your joints are healthier, if your tissue is healthier, then you're probably going to be able to exercise and do the things you like doing, the movement you like doing for longer. And of course, we all know the benefit that has on our health.
Right. I mean, that reminds me of a phrase, and people say this in different ways. They'll say it about other things also, but there's one that's that skin is the organ of longevity. Other people will say muscle is the organ of longevity, but I think our skin, we overlook that. Sometimes it's not just cosmetic.
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes it can be a window into the body, but I would say all the parts of the body are important, and you probably shouldn't, shun any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so moving on to your own test. Okay, question number 4, it looks like, under testing is, I have to avoid eating too much iodine. Have they tested the iodine levels in their SIRT6 activator product?
Yep, that also gets tested every single batch. So the current batch is around 12 micrograms per capsule, which is obviously extremely tiny. I think safe levels of iodine are well over 1,000. So okay. 12 micrograms at the moment per capsule.
Okay. And then you usually recommend taking 2 capsules of that, is that correct?
SIRT6 activator is actually dependent on weight. So most people take 4 capsules per day. But again, some people take 2. It depends on how much you weigh. If you go on the product page, there's a little chart that kind of tells you how much you weigh versus how much you should take. If you're used to pounds and ounces or stones, pounds and ounces, then you'll have to do a little conversion to kilograms first on Google. Otherwise, you won't understand it.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So the next category of questions have to do with shipping and packaging. And I think some of these are very simple, but
okay.
I'll go through them because they were ones that were emailed to me or posted on the website. People requested answers to. Number 1, does DoNotAge currently sell to the European Union?
Yes, we have a hub there. We have a hub in the EU. So there's no taxes, no fees, nothing for anyone to worry about. We're very, very popular in the European Union.
Number 2, can they ship in refrigerated containers? I'm worried about boxes getting overheated in the summer during shipping. I would pay extra for cool shipping.
Not necessary. So your purity is guaranteed to your door when you buy ingredients through DoNotAge.org. We have something called the DoNotAge Quality Guarantee, which does that because we're a global organization. Again, extending healthy lifespan for as many people as possible. For as many people as possible means we need to ship everywhere where possible. And so because of that, we guarantee the purity worldwide. So yeah, you definitely don't need to worry about that.
Right. Well, I think that what the concern is not so much purity as potency in the person who asked that. Like with NMN, for example, there are concerns about possible overheating, not so much because of anything that was done during putting it in the box, but maybe in the storage facility where it might be waiting for a while before it arrives to the.
Yeah, again, because we're the ones that are organizing the shipping, we guarantee that quality to the door. And with something like NMN, purity and potency are pretty much interchangeable terms. So yeah, people definitely haven't got anything to worry about. Obviously, if it gets lost at sea, or it's something's gone out for a year and it doesn't turn up, one of the ones that gets lost in the mail, then it might be a little bit different. But
Okay.
if something's just sat in your mailbox for a couple of days, you don't need to worry about it.
I'll just put out there that I think I appreciate what you're describing. I think it would be a popular feature if you ever were to, I don't know if that would even work with your current shipper, but if that, I think when supplement companies can offer that, that is something that people appreciate. And again, it's partly because of our experience, like, well, here in the US, for example, where a lot of things are shipped through Amazon, and I realize that your shipping is set up very differently. But just to let you know kind of why that is a concern to people, I've ordered things through Amazon. I've ordered, for example, ubiquinol, CoQ10, and
Yeah.
it's a very high quality product from Jaro. And sometimes when it's arrived, it was fine when it left Jaro, I'm sure, but I've actually had it arrive with the capsules all melted into a blob in the bottom of the bottle. It was literally not separate capsules. And I'm not, so I'm not saying that.
Well, yeah.
What was going on there apparently was that Amazon was had an intermediate stage where they were storing the products in a warehouse which did not have any air conditioning. So it kind of totally obliterated the product. So that's where that type of concern comes from.
And I completely understand that, but obviously that's a different company to us and definitely a different warehouse situation. That, again, there's a reason that we wouldn't be able to guarantee purity to your door if we were using third parties like that, because we do everything in-house. That's why everything's guaranteed. So we would never go, for example, with a few days in an unair conditioned warehouse or anything like that.
Okay. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Sorry, my list here. Oh, okay. Will they think about switching to more traditional bottles? The ones they use can be hard to open and close. What do you think about that?
Yeah, not something we've heard a lot, but a couple of times.
Okay.
There's a reason that we use those bottles, and it's because the secure lid keeps the ingredients fresh for a very, very long time. So yeah, it is sometimes a bit of a struggle to pop it up, and just make sure you do pop it down every time, because there's a reason it's there. That seal is doing something, and it's actually a lot better than like a traditional twist.
Okay.
That's why we use it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I guess my thought on that is also that people who want them in some sort of other bottle for a different kind of access or something might want to just have bottles transfer them into them or something, but if they prefer the bottle. But anyway, so that is a question I think we've looked at. Oh, can they make smaller bottles? In other words, maybe 30 capsules instead of 166 capsules for people who want to try out a product to see how they respond to it before buying a large quantity.
I mean, well, most of our products have a 60 capsule version anyway, which is plenty small enough. There's a lot of products that you might not feel a difference within 30 days anyway. So, there's an argument to say that even those are too small. I mean, I would recommend the 366 capsule version for people because of the money saving gram for gram and the fact that the effects of the ingredients compound over time. As a generalization, the people that have been using DoNotAge.org products for more than 2 years will have better results than those that have been doing it for 2 months, for example.
Okay. Let's see. And then Okay, but I guess one of your main points in what you just said is that if people, at least for many of the products, if people do want to try a smaller version first, many of them are available in smaller containers if they look around on the website. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, see, so we have some questions then about timing of taking the products in relation to each other. Okay.
Okay.
And let's get to this list. So number one, David Sinclair, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. David Sinclair said in an interview that the mice in his lab sometimes responded better if they took resveratrol every other day. Does DoNotAge recommend taking resveratrol every day or every other day?
We recommend every day. That is where we've seen the best results with our ingredients. I guess it doesn't matter if you miss the odd day. Just try and make sure you get into a routine. That's the most important thing, because if you do 3 days in a row, then 3 days off, then 5 days in a row, then 3 days off, and you're all over the place, that's when results are going to be skewed. So just trying to get into a nice routine is important. But yeah, I would personally recommend every day, and that's what I do myself.
Second question is, can we take DoNotAge's NMN along with their calcium alpha ketoglutarate, or should we take them at different times?
There's no contraindications with NMN and CAAKG. I mean, you can leave a small gap if you're concerned, but there's really no need.
Next question is, I buy a lot of DoNotAge products. Can I take them all together at once, or should they be timed out, or does it even matter?
It doesn't matter as much as people think. Again, going back to it, the important thing is to ensure that you're taking them every day. You've got a routine that you can stick to that works for you. Of course, some things are a little bit more important than others. So, for example, NMN first thing in the morning, that's going to help with your circadian rhythm, as well as your natural NAD levels. But yeah, it's really not as important as people think. Finding something that works for you and that you can do in a routine regularly is the most important thing.
Have you found for yourself, or in researching and testing the products, that there are ones that are better to take with food or better to just take with water, where it doesn't really matter?
Yeah. So for me, because I don't eat first thing in the morning, I will always take my NMN first thing in the morning. And so I prefer that just with a glass of water. So I'm using the capsules at the moment. So I'll just put the capsules in my mouth, swallow it down with water. But obviously the ones that require fat, it's very important that you do take them with a source of fat. So that's your resveratrol, quercetin, fisetin, sulforiboost, that kind of thing.
Any recommendations on SIRT6 activator in that regard?
Yeah, so SIRT6 is usually taken just after you've finished a meal, and so that tends to be split throughout the day as well. Again, just seeing a slightly improved result on that. So that's what I would recommend. If I'm eating, say, twice in a day, then I'll just split my SIRT6, one just after the first meal, and one just after the second meal.
Okay. Okay, moving on to some product questions. Number one, can DoNotAge's NMN powder be used sublingually?
Yes, if you want to, but it's not going to provide you with a benefit on your NAD level. The best way to take NMN powder is to take it as it comes and mix it. Either if you've got powder, mix it with water. If you've got capsules, just swallow it down with water or coffee or whatever it is you're drinking, and swallow immediately. As I say, from an NAD level perspective, taking it sublingually or any other way isn't going to increase your NAD level any more than just taking it normally.
It doesn't make a difference. Yeah. Okay. Got it. In your experience. Okay. The next one, I've been refrigerating my NMN and resveratrol. If I buy, okay. I've been refrigerating my NMN and resveratrol. If I buy NR or nicotinamide riboside from DoNotAge, should I refrigerate it also?
That's not necessary, no.
Okay. Third question, is there glucoraphanin in DoNotAge's sulforaphane product, SulforaBoost? If so, how much is in each capsule?
Yes, there is glucoraphanin. So the product's called SulforaBoost, provides glucoraphanin and myrosinase, which they need to mix together inside of you to create the sulforaphane that we want. And in SulforaBoost is the most powerful sulforaphane boosting product in the world. And it took us a very long time to create it because this is one area where there were some other good ingredients already on the market. And so we had to play around and tinker with it a lot to try and find the perfect mix. And SulforaBoost was eventually born. And yeah, it's going really well. And there's some very, how can I put it, very well-known people in the industry who are taking SulforaBoost offers.
So when you say that it's the most powerful sulforaphane boosting supplement in the world, how did you establish that?
So we looked at what was already on the market. And again, so whenever we create a new product or a new ingredient, it has to either be better than what's already available, or if what's already available is the best, then it has to be a better price. So it has to match that one and be a better price. So obviously we always try and go with the former, and SulforaBoost is that. So I'm not going to mention brand names, but obviously we did a lot of testing, and some of them were really, really good actually, which is unlike a lot of the other products that we've released where we were going up against a lot of rubbish, let's just put it that way. But yeah, in terms of the sulforaphane market, there were some great products out there, some rubbish as well, don't get me wrong, but there were 3 or 4 others that I wouldn't have an issue taking personally. And yeah, so it took us a long time to create SulforaBoost, but we're very happy and proud with it.
Okay. And oh, okay. So going to hyaluronic acid for a moment, some websites claim that low molecular weight hyaluronic acid is better than high molecular weight. Others say high molecular weight is better. Why does DoNotAge, I guess basically what is your take on that? And why did you choose to sell high molecular weight hyaluronic acid?
Why did we choose? Because the ones that say low molecular weight is better are incorrect. I guess that's why we chose high molecular. Yeah, again, if people want to, they can read all about this on the science page, or if you prefer a video, there's a great TED talk by Professor Vera Gorbanova explaining the benefits of high molecular weight over all the others on YouTube, on the DoNotAge.org YouTube channel. But yeah, so ultimately, one of the key factors is low molecular weight hyaluronic acid it causes inflammation. And there's a whole host of other reasons as well. But yeah, if people want to go ahead and read about it or watch about it, feel free.
Right. This is something that you probably can't comment on or make any claims about. But I remember when I was researching hyaluronic acid, if I'm recalling right, high molecular weight hyaluronic acid was the one that had most of an impact in preventing brain shrinkage, which is, and I realize you're not making any health claims for the products. I'm not asking you to comment on that, but I just want to put that out there that people might want to do some research on that, because the shrinking of our brains correlates with dementia as we advance in years, and anything that actually could help with that shows promise to make quite a difference in aging. So anyway, in protecting against some of the effects of aging. So that was one of the personal reasons that I started taking hyaluronic acid myself. And I realized that was more of a long-term effect, which would not be easy to measure. But
yeah,
brain shrinkage is so correlated with aging and has so many devastating effects. That it's very interesting that there are products out there, or at least that one product that appears to be useful. So anyway, and again, so moving on. So again, quoting someone else here, I use hyaluronic acid as a skin cream. Has DoNotAge thought about offering it in this way?
Not for a long time. It's more powerful to ingest it than it is to put it on as a skin cream. Yeah, so even for the skin, it's actually better results when you ingest it than when you just apply it topically.
With hyaluronic acid, do you recommend taking it with food or just with water?
The hyaluronic acid is, from memory, I think that's with or without food. I don't take it with food.
Okay.
But again, it's one of those where, again, it doesn't really matter. And it just comes down to your preference and what routine you get into, what time of day you can take it, and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Then under random questions, we had Tom Brady take DoNotAge NMN.
Sorry, say that one again.
Oh, does Tom Brady take DoNotAge's NMN?
Well, we have a lot of celebrities taking DoNotAge.org NMN. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't want the world to know about them, what they're doing in order to try and stay young.
Fair enough. And to me, honestly, I'll interject there that I guess to me, that would kind of be a privacy question. It would be the person's privacy who buys a product. But I thought that was just a funny question. So
it is. No, it is. I mean, my personal opinion from what I've seen is that Tom Brady probably does take an NAD booster, but I'm not allowed to say much more than that. As I say, like you said, it's a privacy thing. Not just for some of them do ask, some celebrities ask directly not to be named, but even the ones that don't, it's not really my place to say. I just see them as every other DoNotAge.org member, and we'll continue to help them on their journey to stay youthful and vibrant.
And then I have a couple more questions for you, which is, you and I have talked every now and then, we'll talk, and you've mentioned other products that DoNotAge has in development. And one of them you mentioned today was the DoNotAge's collagen supplement. And one question I have about the collagen supplement is, I guess I have two questions there. And one is, do you know do you have a time window for when you're hoping the collagen supplement will become available? And then the other question is, are there any other products that you would like to notify us about?
So I'll do them in reverse order. So the products to notify you about, I'm going to say no, because I don't want people to get too excited. We did put a little spoiler out on an email a couple of days ago regarding a new way to keep testing yourself. But again, because that's a few months away, I don't really want to give away too much. And as for the other ingredients, because they're not in the advanced stages of testing, I wouldn't want to get anybody's hopes up. And then eventually we don't bring out the ingredient because it didn't have a big enough impact, or, for whatever reason. So I will stick with the collagen. And I think the question was, when is it going to come out? If it was up to me, it would be tomorrow, because I'm always putting pressure on the team to make sure we get things done in a timely manner. But of course, there's processes to go through. So reality is probably 3 months away, something like that.
Okay. And then one other question that I have for you is, apart from, including or apart from the products that DoNotAge sells, but I know you've been interested yourself in anti-aging for a while.
Yeah.
Are there any anti-aging supplements or anti-aging protocols that you've tried or taken that you have stopped because you felt like they just weren't doing anything for you? If you want to talk about that.
It's a good question, and I've tried a lot, so you'll have to bear with me while I have a think. Nothing really, because it was conclusive. Nothing really because I thought, no, this isn't going well for me. Not that I can think of anyway. Most of them have been stopped because I wanted to try something. Either I wanted to try something else, or I looked at the research and I figured there would be a better way to do it, if that makes sense.
And a follow-up question on that is, apart from supplements, what are you personally doing, hoping that it will have an impact on your state of aging or how long you live? What other protocols?
Wow, it's probably quicker to say what I'm not doing, but
sure.
Yeah, and so I think sometimes I struggle with stress sometimes, because obviously running big organization is not easy. There's a lot of pressure, but I tend to put that on myself anyway. What else? So yeah, the things that I do, I make sure I exercise multiple times a week. I try and do it once a day, but it usually works out to about 5 times a week, just because of I'll be flying somewhere or there'll be a meeting, etc. Diet, I'm pretty good at the fasting side of things. I'm not always great at making sure the diet stays as it should be, with enough fruits and veggies in it. But again, that comes down to the lifestyle at the moment, because I'm always flying around. Pretty good with hot exposure, cold exposure, not so much, but because again, that tends to be, most hotels will have a sauna in it. So I can just go use that in the morning after I've been to the gym. What else am I doing? Yeah, I think I need to work on the stress management for sure. And then the other thing is sleep. So I'm really working hard on sleep at the moment, just to try and optimize it. There was a study actually came out recently. I don't know if you saw it in the American Sleep Association. Oh God, I can't remember what month it was, but it was definitely this year. And they basically looked at the sleep patterns, the brain waves of people sleeping for about a 10-year period. And they worked out that not only is sleep obviously important for health, but it was a bit of a chicken egg situation as well, because they basically said sleep was acting like a window into your health. And so the people that were having poor sleep had a higher chance of dying, had a higher chance of dementia, and had a higher chance of other cognitive impairments. So their argument wasn't that the poor sleep caused this. Their argument was that the poor health they were in caused the poor sleep, and therefore we might be able to use people's brainwaves in the future to detect deteriorating health, which I thought was really interesting. So if anybody gets time, they should go ahead and watch that, read that.
I find that, especially that last statement, is very interesting. Yeah. If you have a chance, maybe send me a link to that and I'll include it below the video.
Yeah, I can do that.
Share that with people. What type of exercises do you like doing?
Mainly resistance training for me. I never liked running, so maybe that's why I avoid it, but maybe that means I shouldn't avoid it. But seriously, resistance training is, from what I can see, quite clearly the best type of exercise. Of course, variety is always going to be useful. And I'm not saying just stay stationary all the time and only ever lift weights. There's lots of different types of resistance training. And of course, a little bit of cardio in there will also help.
I think my last question for you is, like the people who are going to be watching this video, you're focused on life extension and living in health, being healthy as long as you're around. Mostly, I get curious when people make a decision to kind of focus on those fields. What are some things that you love about life that makes you want to extend it?
What are some things I love about life? I like exploration. I like learning as well, which is interesting because I remember when I first left school, I was like, I've been forced to learn for 10 years or however long it was straight without any choice in the matter. I just want to do something else. I want to go work and I want to do something else. But yeah, and I think helping people is a big one, isn't it? It's about, we all want to have an impact on the world. And I'm just doing my bit to try and make mine.
And is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or any other sort of tangents that came up during the interview that we haven't gone off into?
Not really. I mean, I guess thank you everybody for your questions, by the way. I think most of them could have been answered with, if they were on our email list. So if those of you that aren't on there, jump on DoNotAge.org and get on the email list. Make sure you're reading them. We're always updating you. But I don't think so. I mean, I think we should do this again, though, for sure. Any more questions that people come in, I'm always happy to answer them. I don't always get the time, I know that, but I'm happy to make a sort of quarterly slot or something like that, where if anybody wants to keep sending questions in, and then we can do one of these things and I'll answer them. That's no problem.
Let's see where it goes. It was a pleasure talking with you as always, Alan. And
thank you, Nils. Thank you for having me.
It's morning for me, but I'll leave you to get some sleep.
Thank you very much.
Okay, take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.